said Barney. There was a dark door in the shadows at the far end of the landing. I haven't noticed it before. He turned the handle and the door opened outward with a slow creak. I say, there's another little corridor down some steps and a door at the end of it. Come on. They went down over the worn carpet beneath rows of old maps hanging on the walls. The little corridor, like all the house, had a smell of furniture polish and age and the sea. And yet nothing like these things, really, but just the smell of strangeness. Hey, Simon said, as Barney reached for the door. I'm the captain, I go first. There might be cannibals. Cannibals? Said Barney with scorn, but he let Simon open the door. It was an odd little room, very small and bare, with one round leaded window looking out inland across the grey slate roofs and fields. There was a bed with a red and white gingham coverlet and a wooden chair, a wardrobe and a washstand with an outsized willow pattern bowl and ewer, and that was all. Well, that's not very interesting, said Jane, disappointed. She looked about, feeling something was missing. Look, there isn't even a carpet, just a bare floor. Barney pattered across to the window. What's this? He picked something up from the windowsill, long and dark with a glint of brass. It's a sort of tube. Simon took it from him and turned it about curiously. It's a telescope in a case. He unscrewed the case so that it came apart in two halves. No, it's not. What a swizz, it's just the case with nothing inside. Now I know what this room reminds me of, Jane said suddenly. It's like a cabin in a ship. That window looks just like a porthole. I think it must be the captain's bedroom. Well, we ought to take the telescope with us in case we lose our way, said Simon. Holding it made him feel pleasantly important. Don't be silly, it's just an empty case, Jane said. Anyway, it's not ours, put it back. Simon scowled at her. I mean, Jane said hastily, we're in the jungle, not at sea, so there are landmarks. Oh, all right. Simon put the case down reluctantly. They emerged from the little dark corridor, its door, as they closed it behind them, vanishing once more into the shadows, so that they could hardly see where it had been. Not much else here. That one's Great-Uncle Mary's bedroom. There's a bathroom this side of it and Mother's studio the other. What an odd way this house is built, Simon said, as they turned into another narrow corridor towards the stairs leading up to the next floor. All little bits joined together by funny little passages, as if each bit were meant to be kept secret from the next. Barney looked round him in the dim light, tapping at the half-panelled walls. It's all very solid. There ought to be secret panels and things, secret entrances to native treasure caves. Well, we haven't finished yet. Simon led the way up the stairs to the familiar top landing, where their bedrooms were. Isn't it getting dark? I suppose it's the low clouds. Barney squatted on the top stair. We ought to have torches, burning brands to light the path and keep the wild animals away. Only we couldn't because there are hostile natives all around and they'd see. Simon took over. Somehow imagination worked easily in the friendly silence of the grey house. Actually, they're already after us, creeping along our tracks up the hill. We'll be able to hear their feet rustling soon. Oh, we ought to hide. Make camp somewhere that they can't get at. In one of the bedrooms, we'll pretend they're all caves. I can hear them breathing, Barney said, gazing down at the dark stairs into the shadow. He was half beginning to believe it. The obvious caves wouldn't do, Simon said, remembering he was in command. They'd look there first of all. He crossed the landing and began thoughtfully opening and shutting doors. Mother's and Father's room? No good, very ordinary cave. Jane's? Just the same. Bathroom? Our room? No escape route anywhere. We shall all be turned into sacrifices and eaten. Boiled, said Barney sepulchrally, in a great big pot. Well, good word, sepulchrally. You can look that one up. Perhaps there's another door, cave, that we haven't noticed, like the one downstairs. Jane peered round the darkest end of the landing beside the brothers' door, but the passage came to a dead end, the wall running unbroken round all three sides. There ought to be one. After all, the house goes straight up, doesn't it? And there's a door directly underneath there. She pointed at the blank wall. And a room behind it, so there ought to be a room the same size behind this wall. Simon became interested. You're quite right. But there isn't any door. Perhaps there's a secret panel, Barney said hopefully. You read too many books. Have you ever seen a real secret panel in a real house? Anyway, there isn't any panelling on this wall, just wallpaper. Your room's on the other side, Jane said. Is there a door in there? Simon shook his head. Barney opened the door into their bedroom and went in, kicking his slippers under the bed as he went past. Then he stopped suddenly. Hey, come in here. What's the matter? That bit between our beds, where the wall makes a sort of alcove for the wardrobe. What's on the other side? Well, the landing, of course. It can't be, there's too much wall in there. You stand in the doorway and look on both sides. The landing stops before it gets that far. I'll bang on the wall where it does stop, and you listen in here, said Jane. She went outside, pulling the door shut, and they heard a faint tapping on the wall just over the head of Barney's bed. There you are, Barney said, hopping with excitement. The landing only reaches to there, but the wall in here goes on for yards, right over your bed to the window, so there must be a room on the other side. Jane came back into the bedroom. The wall doesn't look nearly as long out there as it does in here. It isn't. And I think that means, Simon said slowly, that there must be a door behind the wardrobe. Well, that finishes it then, Jane said, disappointed. That wardrobe's enormous. We shall never be able to move it. Well, I don't see why not. Simon looked thoughtfully at the wardrobe. We shall have to pull it from down low so the top doesn't overbalance. If we all pull at one end, perhaps it'll swing around. Come on then, Jane said. You and I pull and Barney hold the top and shout if he feels it overbalancing. They both bent and heaved at the nearest leg of the wardrobe. Nothing happened. I think the stupid thing's nailed to the floor, said Jane in disgust. No, it's not. Come on, once more. 1, 2, 3, heave! The great wooden tower squeaked unwillingly a few inches across the floor. Go on, it's coming! Barney could hardly stand still. Simon and Jane tugged and puffed and blew, their sneakers slithering on the linoleum, and gradually the wardrobe moved out at an angle from the wall. Barney, peering into the gloom behind, suddenly shrieked, There it is! There is a door! Oh! He staggered backwards, gasped and sneezed. It's all covered in dust and cobwebs. It can't have been open for years. Well, go on, try it, panted Simon, pink with breathlessness and success. I hope it doesn't open towards us, Jane said, sitting weakly on the floor. I can't pull this thing another inch. It doesn't, Barney said, muffled from behind the wardrobe. They heard the door creak protestingly open. Then he reappeared with a large dark smudge down one cheek. There isn't a room, it's a staircase. More like a ladder, really. It goes up to a sort of hatchway, and there's light up there. He looked at Simon with a crooked grin. You can go first, boss. One by one they slipped behind the wardrobe and through the little hidden door. Inside it was at first very dark, and Simon, blinking, saw before him a wide stepped ladder, steeply slanting rising towards a dimly lit square, beyond which he could see nothing. The steps were thick with dust, and for a moment he felt nervous about disturbing the stillness. Then, very faintly, he heard above his head the low, familiar murmur of the sea outside. At once the comfortable noise made him more cheerful, and he even remembered what they were supposed to be. Last one up, shut the door, he called down over his shoulder. Keep the natives at bay. And he began to climb the ladder. All right, that's the end of chapter 2. And join me again tomorrow to find out what's at the top of this ladder in this secret room. Right, thanks very much for watching. See you tomorrow. Have a good one.